If Louisville, Kentucky is where a coaching career in its twilight heads toward an uncertain future, Kansas City, Missouri is the place where one came to an abrupt end before it barely began.
We'd just like to try to talk to you to try to get your side of what happened at Louisville.
This is what Andre McGee is doing today.
Yeah, I don't have any comment on that, sir.
Driving a car for Uber on the streets of Kansas City.
We can get out of the car, but I'm just trying to give you every opportunity to help us appreciate your side of the story.
What's happening right now.
We last heard from McGee in October when he resigned as an assistant coach at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. The former Cardinals director of basketball operations, McGee was accused of bankrolling nearly 24 parties inside Minardi Hall on the University of Louisville campus. Parties where strippers and prostitutes were used to lure recruits. And his old boss, Louisville head coach Rick Pitino, hasn't hesitated to blame McGee for the scandal now engulfing his program.
Did one person do some scurrilous things? I believe so. What I know now, I believe so. The only thing I don't know is I don't know why he did it.
So when Rick Pitino says only one man has the answers, is that true? Is it really just one man?
Talk to my lawyer, please, sir.
I think they all know the truth. They're just putting it on the person who's going to take it. And Andre's the only one to take it.
Katina Powell is the self-described former escort who first brought the recruiting and sex scandal to light in her tell-all book and during an October interview with Outside the Lines.
Usually the girls would come out one by one, and they would dance for the recruit. Andre was the one who always had the money, passed out the money, made it rain, made the deals, paid for the deals. He asked me, is there any girls that want to, make extra money, pretty much side deal with the players? And I was like, I'll ask. So I asked the girls, anybody want to make extra money? And their eyes just lit up like, well, yeah.
When Andre approaches you and broaches the subject of would some of the girls do side deals, did you negotiate terms?
I just knew side deals were sex. Side deals were sex, and if they wanted to make extra money, that's what the side deal was. Sex.
Powell and her attorney have now met with NCAA investigators twice for a total of more than 7 hours.
What have NCAA investigators focused on in those meetings?
The money, where the money came from.
They've spent a lot of time trying to, I think, discern who provided the funds to pay for the parties.
Larry Wilder is Katina Powell's attorney.
I think that they conclude, much like Ms. Powell has said, that certainly Mr. McGee did not have the financial wherewithal to fund these events that were taking place in Minardi Hall.
I can't find one person, not one, that knew anything about it.
Pitino has repeated that message, that he couldn't find anybody who knew anything about the parties. But Powell says Mango Mathiang, a junior forward on the current Cardinals roster, was aware of the parties. Mathiang, who declined to speak with Outside the Lines, is pictured here with Powell and her youngest daughter inside the basketball players' on-campus dorm.
What did NCAA investigators ask you about Mango Mathiang?
Did he indulge in sexual activities?
What did you tell them?
No, I can't say that he did. I'm not going to lie. I can't say that he did. He knew about the parties. That particular picture, he came down through the hall, he heard the music, stopped at, for whatever reason it was, stopped at the party outside. We took pictures, and that was the last I saw of him.
Powell is far from the only person to have spoken with NCAA investigators.
A source close to the investigation told Outside the Lines that at least 3 Louisville recruits have spoken with NCAA investigators about the parties they were taken to here at Billy Minardi Hall. Those same 3 recruits told investigators that strippers danced for them and that Andre McGee paid escorts to have sex with them. The source went on to say Katina Powell is not an admirable person, but she told the truth.
That same source said the 3 recruits also told investigators McGee gave the players a stack of dollar bills ranging from $200 to $500. Everybody in the room got the money, the recruits and the current members of the team. Not only that, but McGee himself had his own stack of dollar bills. If this guy's spending $2,000 to $3,000 on a recruiting weekend, the source asked, Where's this money coming from?
A lot of people want to know where the money came from.
You can talk to my lawyer for any questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Pitino, athletic director Tom Jurich, and school president James Ramsey all declined to be interviewed by Outside the Lines. After investigating Powell's claims, Louisville self-imposed a one-year postseason ban for its men's basketball team. But when asked about the degree to which Pitino himself has taken responsibility for what happened within his program, a source familiar with the NCAA investigation told us, quote, he's not accepting any responsibility over several years. This is not a guy who is turning his head to academic fraud. This is much worse than that.
I know you've wanted to be a coach, man, and you're driving an Uber in Kansas City. That can't be what you wanted for your career path. There's nothing you want to say
Sorry, you talk to my
to
lawyer,
help
please.
clear up your name?
My name would be clear. I just need you to talk to my lawyer.
But how will your name be cleared if you won't tell your side of the story?
Sir, please.
Okay.
Okay.
When you look at the price Andre McGee has paid, he's out of coaching. What motivation is there for any other person within the program to say, I knew about this too?
Basketball is a fraternity of people who protect one another. The question I have is how long is Andre McGee going to sit there and allow himself to be the person that is pointed to by the administration as the only person that knows, the only person involved?
Pee-wee football for 8 to 10-year-olds. And for the most part, the parents on the Jupiter side of the field, while boisterous, were under control. But on the other side of the field,
then you need to stay with me and act like you want to play this game. No, you're not. And you're not. You're moping around, going, how come I'm not getting to play?
this is the visiting team from another town up the Florida coast. On this side of the field, the atmosphere is a little more, well, let's call it intense.
Oh, I guess they got that one too, huh? Yeah, they'll get them all, I'm sure. Hey! What is that? Come on, guys! You're killing me! Ray Jones can see this crap!
He's Robert Shepard, the in-your-face visiting team coach and parent of one of the football players, who seems to adhere to that old saying that dancing is a contact sport. Football, even pee-wee football, is more like nuclear war.
The intensity seemed awfully, at an awfully high level. Do they enjoy that, or do they? If they don't enjoy it, is it good for them?
They love it.
Get it from me. We love it.
It's not badminton, it's football. Right. You go out there not intense, you're going to get hurt.
We teach them discipline, we teach them teams, we teach them as there is no I in team, you know, the organization. It all rolls into their later as they grow up in life to realize this is the way things are
yeah, and the moment between you and the referee?
I was wrong. I got a little upset because I seen a few things at the referees. I realized they can't catch it all, but Ray Charles could have caught a couple of those plays. These kids are trying to win a game and y'all ain't helping them none.
They don't need you to holler either, all right? Now that's enough.
How about some fair?
Hey, come on, guys. How about fair officiating here?
And to those who say it's too intense, it's too much emphasis on winning, and if they don't win, you know, what, they're losers and that type of thing.
No, when they don't win, you've also got to be able to build them up and get their confidence back up that they lost, but that doesn't mean that they're not worth what practicing. Everybody is going to incur some disappointment in any game. As far as the toughness and how rough they are, if they don't want their kids to be tough and rough and play the game, they need to put them in gymnastics or ballet dancing.
We've lost our emotional maturity with children in sports.
What does that mean?
We don't know the moment to step back.
Some Pee-wee football players in Pearland, Texas are looking for new role models after this ugly brawl recently. Coaches from the Patriots and Hurricanes tried to separate two scuffling players on the field, but then the coaches started fighting. You can see one young player in there trying to hold a coach back. The parents of the players are upset because their kids have been barred from postseason play.
Florida high school basketball action with DeSoto taking on Port Charlotte. After a made free throw, DeSoto's Mason Holland engages in a brief shoving match with an opposing player. The ref quickly blows his whistle and assesses the technical foul to Holland, who responds by pushing the ref. Holland then runs after the referee and throws him to the floor before being restrained. The game ended in a forfeit by DeSoto, and since the incident, Holland has been removed from the team and may be facing expulsion as well as legal ramifications.
The Rangers lost to Minnesota last night, and I'm almost embarrassed to tell you I know that. I'm in my office watching the game, and then all hell breaks loose in our city. Reporters at our newsroom were scrambling, producers were yelling. We turned off the lights just in case, and I kept watching the game. It was another shooting in America. It was in our city this time, and police officers were being killed, but it was a couple of blocks away, and the Rangers were being shut out. This is what I have become. This is what too many of us have been for a long time now. We'll fly our flags at half-mast, we'll say all the right things, we'll make promises we won't keep, and then nothing will change. Our lives will go on while the lives of so many others won't, because we expect it now and we accept it. It wasn't this way when I was a boy, but it is life in America now. But shooting a police officer is not the answer to a problem that too many people deny. Police officers are not like you and me, they're better. They run into the darkened alley where we won't go. They run into the buildings we run from. They look for the person we try to hide from. But they're not allowed to make the human mistakes that we all make, because they have the power of God strapped to their hip and the authority to use it. When we talk about blindly supporting the blue, when we try to show our support for these brave men and women, we fail to realize we can't defend them all, and we shouldn't defend them all. A white man in America doesn't die for selling cigarettes on a street corner, he gets a ticket. A white man in America doesn't die for driving with a broken tail light, he gets a ticket too. And the officers who abuse the badge and the power they have should be punished, and too many times they're not. But what possible purpose does opening fire on the streets of Dallas do to right the wrongs too many people deal with every day? As one of those on the city streets last night told a reporter, they might have killed the good cops. A person of color has always hated to be painted with a broad brush, to suffer the indignity of the stereotype so many people claim is fact. And then that killer last night did exactly the same thing, shooting at anyone in blue, because don't we all really know they're all the same? America's problem has come to Dallas now, and our lieutenant governor blames the peaceful protesters because our lieutenant governor is a fool. It was not just an attack on the Dallas police, it was an attack on our basic humanity and the common decency we used to cherish in America, but that's all gone now. We lost that a long time ago. The Rangers lost last night 10-1, and I'm almost embarrassed to tell you I know that.